Learning is important, right?
Yes, exactly. What a bunch of nerds.
Nerd alert.
Right.
Marketing Architects.
Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Architects, a research-first podcast dedicated to answering your toughest marketing questions. I'm Elena Jasper on the marketing team here at Marketing Architects, and I'm joined by my co-host, Rob DeMars, the Chief Product Architect of Misfits and Machines.
Hello.
Hello, we're back with your weekly Nerd Alert. Every week, I'll take a deep dive into academic marketing research and translate its complex ideas into simple, understandable language for Rob and, of course, for all of you. Are you ready to nerd out, Rob?
I'm so ready to nerd out. I told my smart TV that I loved it more than my YouTube. And now the algorithm is showing me content that's clearly trying to win me back. So the machines are jealous. Let's go.
Okay. Well, before we get too far, Rob, say you're consulting for a brand and they have the same budget they could run on either TV or YouTube, like a video ad, but they can only pick one. Which would you tell them to pick and why?
Obviously, we're a little biased on TV as a TV agency, but I'd still answer TV as my answer. TV is the lean back channel. YouTube is the lean in channel. And I just think it's a better place to storytell and to capture someone's attention versus forcing the attention on them.
Well, you're going to get no argument from me. I would agree with you. But let's see what the research says about it. So this week I read a paper titled TV versus YouTube by David Wiebel and colleagues at the University of Bern and Swiss Distance Learning University, published in 2019 in Frontiers in Psychology. So this study is interesting because they are directly comparing TV and YouTube advertising in an actual experiment, not just a survey asking people which they prefer. They wanted to know what really happens when someone watches an ad on TV versus on their phone via YouTube. And the answer has some implications for how marketers think about where to put their dollars. So here's how the study worked. They had 36 participants, half students, half non-students. Both groups watched a 20-minute TV program and a 20-minute YouTube video set of videos. Both included 5 minutes of the same commercials. The key difference was the setting. And I recognize that now, like, the study was in 2019. It's very common now for people to be watching YouTube on their smart TV, but this is how they set up this study. They had two different conditions. So in the TV condition, ads ran in a single block in the middle of the show on a 55-inch TV. In the YouTube condition, a single ad appeared between each clip on a smartphone. And the researchers measured attention using eye tracking, emotions using a self-report scale, and then came back 2 days later to test memory, brand likability, and purchase intention. They also measured skin conductance, so more on that in a second. But just as a reminder, they measured attention, emotion, and memory across both formats, TV and YouTube. So Rob, if you had to guess which one TV would dominate and which one YouTube would dominate, what would you predict?
I think TV wins on emotion and memory. So they're great storytelling elements. I think YouTube's going to win on attention just because it inserts its ads whenever the hell it wants. And sometimes it's in the middle of a dialogue versus TV actually does commercial breaks within the story at the appropriate time. So everything just kind of flows. So I think YouTube wins on just saying, sorry, you got to watch me right now.
So you would be wrong, but this is kind of a trick question. So on attention, TV actually won pretty clearly. Participants looked away from the screen almost twice as often during YouTube ads, which surprised me, about 18% of the time compared to 9% during TV ads. And when they ran a simultaneous test showing both a TV program and a YouTube video at the same time, participants looked at the TV 78% of the time and the phone only 22% of the time. So the big screen pulled their focus.
Really?
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. So emotions also skewed towards TV. People rated the TV viewing experience as more positive than YouTube, even though the ads were identical. And you were talking about that, Rob, kind of the leaned back experience of TV. The researchers think it might be because a block of ads lets your ad shift into ad mode and then shift back. But when you have these ads like popping up between clips, they feel more intrusive. You go into an ad break on TV, you're like, okay, this is what's happening now. In this study, disturbance ratings were similar in both conditions. So people didn't necessarily consciously register it as more annoying, but then positive emotions skewed towards TV at the end. Now, here's a kind of surprising part and why I said this is an unfair question, because YouTube technically didn't win on anything, but it did basically tie on recognition. So recognition rates were basically identical, about 70% for both TV and YouTube. So really interesting, more attention during viewing did not necessarily mean better conscious recall later. So Rob, can you think of an ad that you remember really well that you weren't actually paying close attention to when you saw it? And what do you think made it stick? I know this is kind of a tough question.
Well, yeah, it's a fun one, though, because I was in a conversation just the other day and someone started making references to the clapper, clap on, clap off. And it was like people from all different generations and everyone remembered it. And I'm like, God, it's the auditory part of it. And they didn't know every single part of what the product does or what it even looks like. So they clearly weren't watching the ad in detail, but everybody knows the jingle. You can just go down like, save big money at Menards or 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. No one's staring at a screen when that's playing, but they remember it through the audio.
The Menards ads are a perfect example. Or like, I'm not ever like really glued to my screen paying attention to a Menards ad, but you definitely remember it more. So when the researchers looked at this, they're kind of seeing, okay, what makes people remember versus not? They think that YouTube's format, the single ads between clips, might have actually helped memory in a different way. So each ad appears at a natural breakpoint, which acts as like a mental bookmark. But when ads show up in a big block, some get buried in the middle and are harder to recall. It's similar to the serial position effect, which is the idea that we tend to remember the first and last items in a list and forget the ones in the middle. This makes me wonder, these YouTube ads, they always had them between clips. But typically when you're watching YouTube, the ads are in the middle of the clips. So I wonder if they had tested that, if the memory would have still been as good, but that's not how they set this up. So another finding is even when participants couldn't consciously remember seeing an ad, their bodies remembered. So this was kind of weird. The researchers measured skin conductance, basically tiny changes in how your skin sweats, as a marker of subconscious recognition. So in the TV condition, brands that participants had seen but couldn't recall, this is so crazy, they still triggered a measurably stronger physiological response than brands that they'd never seen at all. Isn't that crazy that like even if you can't remember that brand's name, your body recognizes it? And in the YouTube condition, that effect never reached statistical significance. So there is like something about TV that changes your body response more than YouTube.
Wow, that is really cool.
Like that's kind of how they say advertising is a weak force. Like you might reach for something and buy it and not even remember that you saw an ad for it. Like your body has this like familiarity with it from its advertising.
Jedi mind trick.
Right.
This television advertising. Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was such a cool thing they did. Like, because at first when I read that, I was like, this seems kind of silly. But
you have to even think it. Like, we're going to measure skin response.
Yeah. Right. So TV advertising can leave a mark on implicit memory, the kind of memory that influences behavior without you knowing it. So even if you can't name the brand, your body has a reaction to it, and that could have an influence on your purchase down the road. Now, the sample was small, it's 36 people, and the two conditions weren't just different in terms of platform. TV used the big screen, YouTube uses a phone. So it's hard to isolate exactly what factor drove the results. So the findings here are probably directionally useful, not definitive, but we'll take it as another reason TV rocks. Okay, so a few takeaways for marketers. If you want implicit brand impact, the kind that sticks even when people don't actively remember the ad, TV has an edge. Recognition rates, though, between TV and YouTube are equal, fairly equal at least, which suggests that YouTube is more competitive than its small screen might imply. Ad format matters, so single spot placement around natural content breaks may help memory form more than a mid-block placement. And then try to measure beyond recall, because conscious recognition is only part of the story. The subconscious stuff may be where the real purchasing influence lives. All right, time for our Rob GPT. Think of TV and YouTube as two different ways of planting a seed. TV buries it deep. You might not see it sprouting right away, but the roots take hold underground and keep growing. YouTube scatters seeds across the path. Some land, some don't, but the ones that fall at the right crossroads have a decent shot. 2 days later, both gardens look roughly the same on the surface, but the TV garden has something extra going on below the soil. You can't see until something makes you stop and reach for your wallet. I don't really understand that Rob GPT, but sometimes the Rob GPT doesn't always perform the way we want it to. Like, oh.
So this was a little bit of a beat down on YouTube. And obviously we love television. So let's steel man this a little bit. What would you say, YouTube has some distinct advantages over TV as a marketer?
Well, first of all, I think this has to be redone on a TV set for YouTube in another condition, because they only let YouTube on a mobile phone. A lot of people watch YouTube on their TV set, and a lot of marketers buy YouTube on the TV set. So I think that the device has an issue. I think YouTube allows marketers to get in at a cheaper cost than TV. There's more targeting, like you can directly integrate it with all the stuff you're doing with your Google ads. But I don't know. I've also talked to a lot of marketers who invest a lot in TV, but haven't been able to get YouTube to work. I don't think YouTube is as much of a slam dunk type of advertising. And my theory is that part of it's because there's a Google entity, so they're trapped in this performance versus like long-term branding world. So our marketers measuring YouTube the same way they're measuring TV. But I think as far as reach, doing things like retargeting, I think YouTube is great. And if you're putting your ad on TV, you might as well at least adapt it for YouTube as well. So, but yeah, I think the study probably, I'd be curious just because I don't know about you, but I watch YouTube on a TV screen almost more than on my phone today.
I think I lean a little bit more on a small screen, except I have YouTube TV, but that doesn't count. That's a different experience. So I guess the other thing I'd be curious about is the type of programming that was being shown on YouTube, because YouTube has more traditional storytelling content within there, which can be executed in a way where commercial breaks are more natural. Whereas if you're watching just a viral video where it wasn't designed that way, the breaks can just kick in weird points that just irritate you.
I don't remember that part. I know that they both watched like 20-minute TV program and 20-minute YouTube video set. So I don't know what those videos were. Is it like, yeah Charlie bit my finger? Is it Mr. Beast? Like what?
I mean, come on, they're measuring skin. They could report on what kind of content they're doing.
Well, maybe it's in the study. I just don't remember it. I'm not pulling it up. So.
No, it's all good.
Okay, great. Cool. That's it for this episode of The Marketing Architects. We'd like to thank Taylor De Los Reyes for producing the show. You can connect with us on LinkedIn, and if you like the podcast, please leave us a review. Now go forth and build great marketing.
Marketing Architects.